Andy Berkey is a maker of practical pieces that borderline works of art. He is mostly known for his recreation and preservation of Gothic-style architecture in the many churches he has renovated over the years, and his signature hashtag, #BlameBerkey. Andy brings a fresh new perspective on what he calls the craft and on life in general. Andy is more than willing to share his knowledge with anyone willing to pursue the education. I sat down with Andy to see what makes him tick. Please enjoy this next installment of the Meet the Maker series with Mr. Andy Berkey.
Well, for those of you who don't know, this is Andy Berkey.
Hi,
Andy, for those that don't know you, who are you and where are you from?
I'm Andy Berkey. I'm from Bloomington, Illinois. That's where I'm living anyway. And I have a small shop in my garage.
So how and when did you get the maker bug?
Probably a better question would be, when did I not have it? It's from, I grew up not moneyed, so we were always making stuff, working on cars, out of necessity. So it was really kind of imprinted in the DNA straight away.
You do this for a full-time job?
I do. This is how I make my living and pay the rent.
What's the first thing you can remember making?
Probably that would have to be when I was 13 or so. I would, my dad, we lived way out in the woods, so there was no, you could go to McDonald's and get a job. So in my garage, he set me up with a table saw, and I made food dehydrators out of plywood, and light bulbs were the heat source, and they were ghetto as all get out. But they worked, and I sold them, and I sold them for $50 a piece, and I think it took me a whole summer to make 8 of them. So I'm pretty sure I cleared about $100 for the entire summer.
And that was in the woods of
that was near Seattle. Yeah.
Nice. And what's your favorite medium for making?
That's a great question. Well, my most comfortable medium is wood. It's not my favorite. I would have to say I like molding and casting. So cold cast plastic is a great medium. I love it. I really dig epoxy. In historic restoration work that I do, we use a lot of what's called a consolidating epoxy, which is real low viscosity, and I can do a ton of stuff with it. So that's kind of fun. I'm really digging getting into playing around with a little bit of metal in my work, which is fun. But on a day-to-day basis, wood is my medium that haunts me. I can't get away from it.
And do you have any plans to learn any new mediums, or want to learn any new mediums that you haven't worked with?
I'd love to learn how to weld. That's kind of something that Bill Lutz is all over me to learn. And the main thing that's stopping me is the shop space. I have a relatively small shop, and the fact that I have sawdust around, and I'm very afraid that I would set myself on fire.
Right, throwing sparks all over a wood saw.
Yeah.
Or
my wife is like, I'm not sure that's a good idea.
Right, throwing sparks all over a sawdust-laden floor. Yeah, not the best idea.
And I'm not the tidiest of guys in the world, so it's fraught with danger.
I think you're like every other guy out there, though, that, we don't care how dirty it is.
True. Well, I see shops like Giaco's and some of these shops where they're all organized.
It's like surgical, and you could eat off of every surface. Yeah.
Yeah, not mine.
That's fine. So, what project are you most known for, or what had the most impact?
It would definitely be a church, what they call a reredos, that I built here about 15 years ago, that kind of put me on the map locally. A reredos is a high altar in back of a priest, kind of the picture frame for the priest in a neo-Gothic church. And basically what I always say is I built a 29-foot tall, 2.5-ton piece of furniture. So not too many guys can say that they had that. But it had its own weird design parameters. Everything from being well put together design-wise, it also had to, we're just a couple hours from the New Madrid earthquake fault, so we had to have some seismic build, had to have that in our mind too. So, but that's probably the thing that put me on the map more than anything.
Very cool. So Andy, if you could make anything, what would it be and why?
If I could make anything today, it would probably be something sculptural because it scares me. And to me, that's the magic spot of making, is right when you're on that edge of not knowing what you're doing, having a concept but not knowing the details. So you're refining your thought process in the flow of the build. And basically, anything that's going to scare the living daylights out of me, that's what I gravitate toward. So that sculptural is because I'm not an art guy, education-wise, but I have the leaning of being an art guy. So that's kind of scary to me. So that's what I'm all about.
So what are you working on now?
Right now, I'm in the middle of what I call rent-paying work. I've got a basement bar and media room that I have designed, and I'm building all the cabinetry and all the television surround and all that kind of stuff. I'm doing that, and then I've got a white oak storm door that I'm doing for a client that is a lot of my clients, residential clients, are long-term people, so I really enjoy working with them. So I get into stuff that's not your normal small shop builds, but on the other hand, most of them are my friends now too. So if they want me to do something, I usually do it if I have time. But right now, I've got about a 6-month backlog, which is very, very. I'm very lucky to have that. But I really dig taking care of people like that too. So to me now, being able to satisfy people and make them happy is almost a higher priority than what I'm actually working on. That makes me a happier person day to day. So that's what I've kind of changed that priority about 4 or 5 years ago, and it did magic for my life. What's
the most vital tool in your shop?
Table saw, no doubt about it. Heart of the shop, in my opinion.
Your workhorse?
Yep, all day long. I'm a firm believer that table saw comes first, chop box second, drills and that stuff next. But to me, those two are really the heart and the lungs of the shop. There's just not a lot with your imagination that you can't do with those pieces. Hands down, no doubt about it.
So if you could make your dream shop, how big would it be, and what would you put in it?
Okay, it would be about 3,000 square feet. It would be on the second level of an old warehouse building downtown with lots of big windows and big light. And then I would have a dedicated space for 3 things, kind of like Jimmy's talking about doing with his space in upstate New York. I'd really, if I'm really dreaming, I'd have a studio type area for photographing work and filming work, and then I'd have a dedicated metal space, and then a huge, probably half of it would be the wood part, and just to get things separated from each other, and to keep dust from invading everything in the world.
Right.
So, but yeah, that to me would be the ultimate setup. I mean, yeah.
With the steel and the glass and the brick and the exposed
Yeah.
piping, like the old industrial,
Yeah.
the way it used to be.
Yeah, I mean, you've been in the neighborhood here. I get a lot of energy out of my old neighborhood. It's, I don't know, 150 years old around here, and I just take a lot of strength and a lot of creativity away from that stuff, because I'm always amazed at the little details that if you're paying attention, you can find, and it really works your way into your work. Love it.
Andy, so who's your favorite maker and why?
Well, that changes on a daily and weekly basis depending on who's putting out cool stuff at the moment, but 2 of them, if I can. Number 1 would be Wes Swain, and I know he's not a real popular guy. I don't like him that much personally. No, I was kidding. Wes, I'm sorry. No, Wes has an amazing creativity and problem-solving capacity that's just stunning to me. And the thing I really like about it personally is he comes at it from a completely different angle than what I do. So it's always fun to bounce. I love to bounce ideas off of him and let him see how he solves it. Very, very cool. Then of course the other one would have to be Jimmy DiResta. But I kind of dig Jimmy on a different level than a lot of people do. I dig how Jimmy moves around his shop, how efficient he is. I learn stuff by not watching what he's building. I learn stuff from what's around him, what's available to him, and his physicality in the shop. And coming from a small shop guy that's bounced around a bench his life, I just learned a lot from the way he is physically in his shop. So those are two of my favorite guys.
And if you could collaborate with anyone, who would it be and why?
You know, I would really love to hang out with Izzy Swan for a couple of weeks and see what comes out of it, because Izzy is off leash mentally. I mean, the guy, there are no boundaries whatsoever.
Yeah, nothing is impossible with
Right,
Izzy.
exactly. And coming from my perspective, where Gothic woodworking, which is a good portion of my work, it's very regimented and very stylistically, you have to stay within a very narrow range. So I think it would be really healthy for me to collaborate with Izzy, and also I think some very freakishly fun stuff would come out of it.
Yeah. So Izzy, if you're out there and you're ever in Bloomington, so who are you watching now?
You know, I'm on kind of a European bent right now. I totally love the way that Laura Kampf comes at things. You know, she's got that design school background, which for me is very, very interesting, because all the design stuff that I know, it's either self-taught or has been learned kind of on the fly. So she brings this very educated and very beautiful design sense to all her work and her videos. Giaco, his videos, I mean, for me, the videography part of this whole thing is what's my skills are not very good in.
Same here. It's like I'm not classically trained, and it's all just learn as you go.
Right.
So it's like, how square is your first box compared to how square is your 300th box?
Yeah, exactly.
So over time, I think that, you know, we'll build skills and be
Right.
able to do better on them.
Right. But I do love the Cactus Workshop does an amazing,
Carlos is an awesome
yeah,
videographer.
incredible stuff. Giaco, David Welder, Laura Kampf, that genre to me, I don't think it's really a genre, but it's a style
Yeah.
that is really fascinating to me. And I don't know, that's
Yeah,
just
it-
good
it
fun.
just keeps you engaged, and you could watch a 20-minute video from one of them, and it's like, it's over already?
Yeah, and it's just so beautifully put together.
Oh,
You know, I mean, and Laura said it really well not too long ago, that her product is the process. So it's really that's a mind bend for me, because my product is the product. And I'm looking forward to kind of twisting that around a little bit and letting the video and the videography of the process be the product. I thought she said that really well.
Yeah. Do you have any advice for others that want to do what you're doing?
Go hard. Just go. Do it. Build it. Make the mistakes. Stop looking at, tool porn, the catalogs, that we all, have drooled over. Stop doing that. Go to your pawn shop, get a good solid tool that does good work. Start with that and go. I mean, I built a lot of kitchen cabinets with a circular saw screwed to the bottom of a piece of plywood, and that was the table saw. And I had another piece of plywood as a fence, and built, I don't know, probably 40 or 50 kitchens worth of cabinets before I went ahead and bought a table saw. So stop making the tooling the focus of it, because it's not. It's just what you need to get the work done, and the work is the focus. And then just go hard. Henry Rollins said there's no off time, there's no downtime, there's now. There's just time. Go hard.
What was the biggest obstacle to your making career?
The biggest obstacle for me was my own headspace. I kept thinking, because I got into this as a laborer on a construction crew, and then work my way, through, into a carpentry position, and then kept on going into project management and everything. But I made several misguided attempts to get away from it. I had a failed real estate sales career. I managed a liquor store for a year. I don't know what else I did, 3 or 4 other things. Oh, I was a sailor for a while, which I enjoyed the heck out of, but knew that I would probably not live to be very old if I kept doing it, because we got a little crazy. But basically, yeah, that and really not valuing myself. I just thought, basically, I'm just a carpenter, out making a living and going home and having a beer, And I think I really did myself a discredit for a lot of years, where I really like to encourage the younger guys that, look, you've only got so many times you can pull the trigger on this guy in your life.
Yeah.
Make them count. Enjoy it and make cool stuff. Really value yourself and go like mad. And tell us the stories. The old guys, tell us the stories, because we're back here, encouraging you, and we just want to see you kick ass.
Well, thanks, Andy. Where can the folks at home go to blame you?
Hey, you can blame me at blameberkey.com. That's where you can find me. There's right at the top of the page, there's all of the links to my social medias. I'd also like to say that I love being a part of the Faking It podcast. Andrew Aragon, Mike Laffey, Rod Reyes, David Welder, you guys, I dig hanging out with you once every 2 weeks, and that is really a fun thing for me and really feeds my soul. So look us up there, and thank you very much. Appreciate it.
No problem. And all those links will be left in the description box below. Thanks for watching, guys, and thanks again, Andy.
Thank you.